Hello everybody, welcome to my next video. Thank you for joining me today. Um, have a couple new subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you guys for your comments, leaving comments, and please like, share, subscribe. Helps the channel out. Um, helps us reach out people and help people um, unleash their own superhuman selves. Uh, If you see the screen that I put in at first, as I did a 100-mile bike ride. The B footage that you're looking at is from the Smoky Mountains trip, and it's coming out of the mountains into Gatlinburg, and this is where I saw the bear. You may hear me say, "Hey bear, hey bear," and that's where I saw the bear. But um, being on my bike, and when I rode past the bear, it kind of cocked up its head and looked at me, and I'm like, it's maybe not the best time to be playing tourist and looky-loo. So I just continued on my ride, and you're pretty vulnerable on a bike. If that bear decided it wanted to be aggressive, I didn't want to hang out for that, so I just continued to move along myself, and I have a car that I just could hop in and drive off and have a barrier from the bear. So back to the 100-mile ride. So I did 100 miles. I did it on a keto diet. I wasn't completely carnivore. I find that it's very hard to do a long distance bike ride and at it. So I usually take some keto snacks, and that's what I did. I've done a few 90s, high 90 mile per 90, not 90 mile per hour, 90-mile bike rides. A couple of them. I did a couple metric centuries. So basically, if you're looking into doing some long distance endurance bike riding, it's just like everything else. You just gotta build yourself up to it. If you can only do 5 miles, you do 5 miles this week. You do 10 miles next week, and keep on adding up a little bit more, and you'll eventually get there. And one thing too to consider if you're desiring to do 100-mile bike rides is your speed, because if you're only going 8 miles an hour, it's going to be a very long time on the bike. And that's more of my goals, is maybe not to get to 200 miles, but to really get my speed up and get that average speed closer to 15, 16 miles an hour, and knock some big time off of the 100-mile bike ride. I don't know if a 200's in my future. I kind of draw the limit on being on the bike about 8 or 9 hours, and after that it gets to be too excessive. And I think that for most people, that 8 hours on the bike is a lot. But I think I handle it well. So whatever I can get done in 8 hours, and I think that if I get the speed up, that 150-mile bike ride would be doable. It would be cool to get back into the Smoky Mountains and maybe do a 100 in the mountains, because that's a whole different beast with elevation. I did my 100 on a rail trail, the Nickel Plate rail trail that goes from Rochester, Indiana to Kokomo, Indiana. And I did a couple of connecting trails in Kokomo, the Industrial Heritage Trail, and there's a separate side trail there. I'm not sure if it has a name. They're fairly new trails. Kokomo's doing a good job putting in bike trails. They have some nice condos going up along the trail, so it's a really good time to be a cyclist. So, well, hopefully it encourages you guys to get out there and do something. And I did this low carb, and we didn't have any sugar gels or any carby beverages on this trip. I drank a couple Bangs and had water. That was about it. In order to take this bike ride to a century, I basically had to go from one end to the other, and then I had to come back a few miles and then go back, and that's what I did. And basically, the leg situation is that I don't have the lactic acid burn that I did earlier on when I first purchased my bike back in November, and when I would have severe lactic acid burn that would last intensely for maybe an hour to 2 hours after my bike ride. But like after those first few 20-30 mile trips, I quit experiencing that. So if you're having some lactic acid issues, it's just keep pushing, and your body adapts. It's not gonna bother you. You're gonna adapt to it. You're gonna know how to adjust yourself to handle it. And the saddle too. If you're having a lot of problems in the saddle, it's just more time on the bike. I don't even need to have padded shorts on for my work commute anymore. It's I don't have problems with the saddle, and I think a lot of people that have problems with the saddle, they're just not in the saddle enough. Your body will adapt. After the bike ride, today's the day after, it really, my legs feel like I went to the gym, and I did a really intense gym workout. So that's a good thing in my mind. I only have gym soreness. I don't feel injured at all. I am going to take a few days off the bike and just focus on recovery. I don't want to have overuse injuries. I don't, proper recovery is really important for your endurance and just to stay healthy, because we don't want to be injured. We don't want to end up in the having knee replacements and that sort of thing. And I know that a lot of runners, like, they blow out their knees, and it's not because running is bad for your knees. It's that you need to recover and let your body do its repairs and restore cartilage. So typically I like to do fasting on Mondays, but I'm going to move my fasting. I'll see how my legs feel tomorrow. I might do a full 24-hour fast tomorrow. If the legs feel 95% recovered, I'll do a fast, but I won't ride the bike at least until Wednesday or Thursday. And I might hold the fast, do one day of fasting today. If it doesn't feel good tomorrow, I'll move it up to Thursday and see how it feels to do some fasting on Thursday. And I will be back on the bike. Hopefully I can get 1 or 2 days of commute in this week. It's all weather dependent. I typically don't want to ride to work when I'm going to get rained on or rained on getting home. I want to stay fairly dry, have fair weather for a commute to work. I find that commuting really helps with the endurance, especially if you've got like a 10-mile ride to your work. That you know, commuting is really good for working on your endurance. Um, I feel that being up here in northern Indiana in the flatlands is that getting down to the hills, strapping that bike on, driving down to Tennessee and Kentucky and riding in the big hills really helps with the hundreds, because that just makes you adapt to doing big hills, and there's nothing like that around here. So when you do the little Indiana hills, it's nothing, and that's sort of one of my secrets is that I don't want to. If I stay adapted to the Indiana hills, and you're trying to do that long bike ride in Indiana, then you're just gonna bonk out going up those hills. So I feel it's really important if you can get yourself to some big hills and maybe some elevations that are above what you want to do for your 100, and do some training in the hills and the mountains, and building some endurance to some steep climbs will greatly assist you in getting to your century and help you through the century when it just becomes, it's not a very physical bike ride. It's more of a long flat endurance ride, easy peasy. You just have to keep the legs in check, keep hydrated, keep electrolytes in your system. I carry my little medicine pouch, so I carry some Imodium with me. I carry some Advil and some Tylenol and some caffeine pills. I take specialized SPMs, specialized pro-resolving mediators. It's something that Dr. Doug McGuff recommends. So I have a couple of those pills in my pouch on the bike, and they're a fish oil pill that has some anti-inflammatory effects to it. So, and I feel that those help, and I typically do get into my ibuprofen on these long bike rides, and I take a half dose. I don't take I just take one pill. I don't take two, and I don't take like 1,000. I just take a half dose, and that just to help keep the knees in check and to help get it going along, and it works for me. Well, thank you guys for watching. Again, the B footage is Smoky Mountains. It's not of my ride. I didn't record my ride. Maybe I'll do some recording of 100. Maybe I'll go for it again in maybe a couple weeks to do a follow up, see if I can do it a little faster. I typically, once a month do a long distance endurance bike ride. I will probably keep it under a metric century. I really want to keep that in mind, that when you do these ultra long distance, you really put your body under a lot of stress and higher risk for injury, and then it's a recovery time afterwards, and then you're off the bike longer there in the week. So I'd like to keep my 30-mile commutes or something that I could ride daily and not really burn up my legs and make it so I can't do things. Well, thanks guys for watching. Leave a comment, share and subscribe. plan on doing some more recording and stuff. Get some bee footage that's outside of the Smoky Mountains. I know I've been throwing a lot of Smoky Mountain bee footage up in these videos lately. It's just when I was there, I just recorded like mad. I filled up a 256 gigabyte card, so I have tons of Smoky Mountain footage. But I'll plan on slapping that camera on and doing some more footage. I have some camping coming up. The Indiana Dunes, they opened up their campground, and I got me a spot. And I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like this, I would really like to bring the bike down on the South Shore train. They have a bike program, but it's still canceled due to the COVID. So it's disappointing that I can't, you know, I think that would be a real cool adventure to do, is like ride the bike to the airport, get it on the train, and then, you know, take it from the train station to the campground and, you know, camp off the bike. And it's about a 60-mile straight bike ride from the house. I kind of like to do like the train to the campground, and then on the next day, instead of taking the train home, it's just ride the whole 60 and take it back. But I haven't done a back to back like 50 or 60 mile. I haven't tried doing that back to back days. I've always taken rest days, so I'm not sure if I want to attempt that with camping here on the bike, because having that extra weight just adds to the bike ride and makes it a more level of intensity. So, thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.